is turning out to be one of my least favorite tasks in the village. But either way, somebody has to do it. As you all know, many diasporans are buying land all over the place, and they've been doing so with some amount of success. And even though a lot of these land deals work just fine, a few obviously never pan out. Now, my audience are used to listening to success stories about transitioning back, people buying land, getting into construction, business, and doing well. But as I've always done in the past, in the spirit of keeping things 100%, I want to share with you a story of a failure that we recently had, and hopefully we can all learn from this experience. Yes, it is true. We actually lost an incredible opportunity for a client. And I was really bummed when that happened. I would say all of us, myself, my team, and the client, this was a really missed opportunity. And in a few minutes, I'm going to tell you all about it, what went wrong, and hopefully some lessons that I've picked up that you can borrow and use in your future. Anyway, friends, welcome to Southern Nyanza. I normally film from many places from all over the country, but a lot of my videos are shot in Karateng, which is my home. That's where we live, but we go back and forth between Karateng and Long Beach, California. If you're new to our channel, again, I will introduce myself. I'm a Kenyan American who is working very hard to return permanently to this amazing place we call our motherland. I was born and raised in Kenya, but I've spent almost 2 decades in America. And like many folks who live in diaspora, I'm doing everything to return. And this is a process that started years ago. In fact, it's been about at least 6 years since I started this transitioning process, getting back to the village. And this has often included things like multiple trips back home to just reestablish that contact, make new networks, investing in real estate, agribusiness, construction, and things like that. So those are some of the things I've been doing over the last couple of years to just lay the groundwork for my family's eventual return to the village. So in the process, I've come to work with lots of fundis, architects, land agents, and things like that. And so if you're a potential returnee, current or future, and you need help with things like that, be sure to reach out on the number that I post below. We can advise or we can make referrals as needed. Now, that said, today turns out to be literally my final trip to this part of Rongo on a mission to get land for a very specific client of mine. And at the time, I didn't know it, but it turned out that this was not going to end really well for us and for our client. So in just a few hours, I would later learn that the land that I had really spent a lot of time scouting out, sending folks, and doing a lot of due diligence, we were to lose this land just overnight. Because it turns out that somebody purchased this land almost in the middle of the night, right after we made this final trip just to do a counter check. Because I'd already sent folks, we'd already done a lot of the groundwork. So I was just coming back one more time to just confirm everything. Because interesting enough, this specific land basically checked all the boxes that the client really wanted. I mean, nearly every single thing. As you can see, it was land that somebody was already planning to build on, had a site house, had water in it, decent size, in a very specific location that is very prime in Rongo in southern Kenya. So I was really excited to just come and check and confirm and help the client purchase it. And then overnight, apparently, this thing was purchased and we lost it. So just to give you context, I was contacted by this Kenyan American living in diaspora looking for land. And the client was very specific, again, with requirements about size, location, purpose, and all those things that people usually go for when you're looking for land. And the more a client is specific, the easier it is for us to scout, but it also makes it difficult to find something that comes quite close. So it takes some time to do this work. And so in many cases, it's actually difficult to find land that checks the majority of the boxes especially when the turnaround time is very tight. If there's plenty of time, yes, we can always find pretty much anything that a client wants. But oftentimes, folks have a timeline that they expect. Maybe they're planning to start building soon, or they want to put in a project. And so, if the timeline is tight with a specific list of requirement, that can be challenging. So anyway, thankfully, we ran around and then we found something that pretty much checked all the boxes. And so at the time the client contacted me, I was in Karateng, and as I always do, when that happens, I make a few phone calls here. I've had networks pretty much in most parts of the country, especially Western, Nyanza, Nairobi, and around the coast. I've got quite a few networks that I simply call, and they scout out stuff for my clients. And when I do that, before I send my folks out, I have to go through a specific checklist. And this list includes the following 5 things. Number 1, I check whether the client is financially ready. And with that, I simply go by the word of mouth. I don't check like your bank records or anything. I just need an assurance from the client that they're financially ready. And then I also check to be very clear on their purpose for purchasing the land. Because a land that you're going to use for agriculture or for a homestead or for an investment property will all vary. And so I want to be clear as to what the client wants to do with the land before we send folks out. Also, number 3, we also have to be very clear on the must-haves. Like some people really care about having a water source, proximity to the roads, amenities like electricity and things like that. So I want to be clear, what are some of the things that must be there before a client picks up land. And then we look at the pet peeves that a client has. And then lastly, whether the client has the legal documents like KRA PIN, ID, and things like that. Now, the reason I go through this list is because, number 1, and I've learned this the hard way, that when clients are not ready financially, it really messes up everybody because the agents are spending their time uncompensated. Then they find land giving promises, and then it turns out that the client is not ready. It really just disappoints everybody. And many people who sell this kind of land sell land because they have problems. I've had cases where somebody sells land because they have a patient in the hospital, they have a kid who needs to go to school. And so if the client is not ready, it really messes up families. And then in terms of readiness, I also ask folks, please make sure your partner is on the same page as you, because that can be a problem as well. And then we are clear on the purpose so that we get to the right land. And then we also want to make sure that we are not getting land that has issues that you don't care about, like maybe if the land is close to a city, does not have certain views that you care about, the amenities, whether the land is hilly, and things like that. And so in this particular case, we actually lost the land because the night after we came here, the neighbors saw us walking around, and it's very hard to do this clandestinely. And I was walking even with the sub chief. So the neighbors saw us and went and sought the owner and paid for the land at night. So by the following day, the land was gone. And so it was really disappointing because we had really done so much work. We just got the right land, and they bought this thing within a few hours. So I just got a call in the morning that the land was gone. So here's some suggestions that I'll offer folks who are out there looking for land. Number 1, it's okay to do due diligence. You do what you need to do, but don't drag it out too long. I've had cases where I spent like maybe 3-4 months doing due diligence. That can work out okay if there are no offers. But for many of these land sellers, as soon as they get the next offer, the land is gone. So do diligence, but don't take too long. And then if anything changes, please communicate with us respectfully. I've had one case where a person engaged us, we ran around looking for land, and then they simply disappeared. And at that point, I don't even know whether the client is ill or something went wrong. Please communicate, don't just disappear. And then agree with your partner before you engage us, because that might be a problem. So don't ask folks to go out before you're ready, because this really messes up owners. So I hope you learned something today, and as always, I'll see you in the next. Bye.